Now that we are finally on the screen.
Let's
It's
go,
been a
baby.
long time coming. We both have busy lives, but we here, baby. Bad Breeze Way on the show. Let's go.
You heard it. Here we are, finally in the making. I know a lot of you guys been looking at Bubba and Breeze and wondering when we're gonna drop some content. Here it is, the Bad Breeze Show, episode 1. And one of the biggest names in combat sports, one of the most charismatic dudes, one of the best wrestlers to ever grace the mat, is joining me as my dance partner on this show, Bubba Jenkins.
Yes,
And sir,
sir.
you got a lot going on this year with the PFL. Your first match is kind of a rerun of a grudge match that got a lot of publicity.
Yeah.
So you're started off all gas, no brakes, baby. And just tell us about the PFL this year, what you're looking forward to, and what you think about this matchupand how you're starting things
Man,
off.
PFL loves to start my season off with a bang, like every time. Hey, Bubba, welcome to the PFL. Okay, cool, great. Thanks for having me. Who do you want me to fight? Our two-time champion, right off the bat. I'm just like, all right, thanks, PFL. I guess I got to jump in this bitch and show y'all I can swim immediately, right? So, they did that one the first time with Palmer, and then, a late notice, like I'm talking 8-day notice, Tal Boshiak, late notice on the year before, on the year after. So, I could suspect something coming down the ramps of, I've been preparing for Chris Wade since I lost. So,
Mm.
let's just say that I love the matchup. I don't like when PFL throws me in the deep end, but since I'm a good swimmer, sharks do what they do, So I'm excited about the April 1st. We got 17, 16 days out, something like that, baby.
It's coming up.
And yeah, it's coming up quick, but I'm excited, man. I'm feeling good. I'm trimming up, getting skinty around this mother.
That's
But bro,
right.
I'm excited about the Chris Wade fight. It's here in Vegas. I don't gotta go nowhere. Of course, they're gonna give me some hotel rooms, but I'm probably gonna sleep in my bed for most part of the week. So, nonetheless, baby, Chris Wade, April 1st. PFL's coming back to back, April 1st, April 7th, April 14th. Boom, 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 all here in Vegas. So after I knock Chris Wade out, I'm gonna be in attendance at all the rest of the fights. So man, I'm excited that springtime is here, and so is the fight game, baby.
That's right. It's the best time of the year, especially for you PFL vets, man. And you are just that. You're a vet. This is not anything new to you. And so you're, like you said, every year you kind of start off heavy. And with Chris Wade, this is a great matchup because you both have some solid wrestling, but some nice hands too. And that's kind of what's been most interesting over both y'all's profiles over the last couple of years in the development there. But you train with one of the best in the world, Dewey Cooper, when it comes to the striking. All that in mind, last year you didn't see Chris Wade. You saw him at the end of the season prior, but last year you were able to get a couple different opponents and kind of bulldoze through everybody until you got to the final. Like it wasn't even a competition. Every single person you faced was 5-starred and feet above head, and you lost them. So I'm saying that's something, man. And so now you're looking at this matchup here, and you're a different fighter to the eyes of us watching you. It's a different matchup. But in your mind, what is the difference, the biggest difference from this fight and the fight 2 seasons ago?
Well, we can start off with just my mindset, right? Like I was going through so much. I have said that 1,000 times, but it sounds like an excuse. No excuse. I didn't show up to training. I didn't show up to runs. I didn't show up to Dewey's classes. I was just out and about and just kind of working on a lot of different things that had nothing to do with fighting. It had nothing to do with fighting. It had nothing to do with who I am and who I'm becoming. So I can just easily say that the mindset is different. But not only that, man, bro, I'm focused now. Getting that first taste in the PFL. Finally making some good money in MMA, which isn't everybody ain't doing that. So finally getting to that part. Like you said, I'm a vet, so finally getting those bigger checks and whatnot. I was just having fun in Vegas. So now I've kind of understood. It's like being in college. It was like being my first year in Vegas was like being a freshman at college. There's so much to go look at and do and see and things like that, while having to stay locked in and plug into the rigorous schedule that a championship fighter needs. So that was one of the biggest mismanaging of times and things like that. So mentality, right. But we are locked in, so much more focused, so much more excited about the fight game and the opportunities we have. Just missing out on that championship last year. I feel like I won, majority of the rounds, whatnot, and to get finished in the fourth like that, it was like it was a loss for sure. Shout out to Brandon Lockney. He bested me that night, but it definitely gave me a bad taste in my mouth that left me with a ton of motivation and inspiration for this summertime. So,
Yeah.
or not even for summertime, for the break time. It was winter all the time. It was cold, limping around on my bum ass shin knee, but it was a little bit of a curve for like, what, this is the future. This is let's get locked in for this toughest fights. Let's get locked in for the biggest stages. Let's get locked in for these 5 round things, and let's get locked in for this new upcoming season. So that's where we are, focused, excited. 17 days out, 16 days to weigh-ins, and I'm a whole bad man problem.
A lot of different things in motion this year, and one of them is Movlid returning to your weight class. He was
Yeah.
out last season. That's
This is, to me, bro, this is the year to be the champion. Like, if you win it this year, you're legit. No
yeah,
question about it. We got Lockling back, Jenkins back, Wade's back, Moblitz coming back. A lot of, there's 4 finalists there. I think there's 6 or 7 playoff guys. When there's only 4 spots, that means a couple of guys who've been to the playoffs or high ranking are going to go home without a thing on it, without anything really. So to me, it's one of the tougher years to win it, and I believe every year it gets tougher. They're more eyes are on the organization. More people are coming in. More people want that $1 million opportunity. So, I think even the Challenger Series, the 45 that they signed for the Challenger Series was a tough fighter, and he fought very well. And for being young in the sport, he looked experienced and things like that. So, yeah, PFL every year is getting much tougher, and with Modlik coming back, it don't change it there. So, but I'm excited for that fight. I'm not calling anybody out, but being a wrestler in the game and being a champion and like he is, that's something that's a tree that I want to climb as far as like, getting my hand raised. To be the champ, you got to beat the champ. So running it back with lock name or, getting modulated at any point is a good look for me because, I want to be the champion. I'm afraid of nobody.
Yeah, and like you said, man, all of you guys have either won the whole thing or made it to the finals. So it's a hell of a fucking season with all these guys who are all winners, honestly. So it's not a light task at all if you look at it compared to the other organizations. PFL has really, and especially in just a couple of years, really carved their name in the gravel. So you guys are top of the echelon talent. Something else I just want to talk about as far as talent goes, you're a Penn State guy. You're a decorated wrestler. Yes, sir.
PSU, PSU, we are.
You're also a national champion, which is something that everybody in wrestling dreams of becoming.
Devil Nation, stand up, baby. You know what it is. I'm cut in between because I spent 4 years at Penn State. You know what I mean? So I'm godfather to a lot of the legends over there. You know what I mean? They was looking up to me before they even put their britches on.
Yes,
So
sir.
the fact that I'm a Penn State guy, and then I had to go for it. It was really a semester and a half because if I had 2 semesters at Arizona State, it was really a semester and a half because I was locked in for the rest of the season. Once I won nationals and had my grades right, I told him, send me my degree in the mail, baby. I ain't gonna be here. I'm gonna be outside. I'm gonna be
Yes,
outside.
sir.
Agreement has been checked. We have done what I was supposed to do. Y'all do what y'all supposed to do. Send me my mail.
Yes,
So
sir. Deal
no,
done.
man, I got that split of still being homegrown Nittany Lion, but also still being ASU representative for sure.
Yes, sir. I mean, you've made your mark for both of these guys, man. You've wrestled on the biggest stage, representing both teams. So I mean, it doesn't get
And
any.
the fact that ASU has that massive transition. Now Penn State starting it, right? Penn State starting to do the what ASU did, and it's crazy that I'm affiliated with both of them. Penn State starting to put out like a little grapplers class of MMA guys. Like, oh, let me push these MMA guys out the door, and then say, hey, I'm a Penn State wrestler, and everyone goes, oh my god, you're a Penn State wrestler. But then if you think about the guys that were in mixed martial arts back in the day, bro, ASU was putting them out there by the prime.
Don't make me list them off.
Velasquez, and we can go down the name of all
Henry
guys.
Cejudo. Yes,
Absolutely.
sir. You?
Absolutely. Shout out to the ASU boys that, was putting it on. But PSU was trying to do their little thing. And I remember Phil Davis was my host on my recruiting visit. So shout out to Phil Davis being, the top contender in Bellator. But he's one of the guys when we were at Penn State. We were both still at Penn State, kind of training a little bit of that mixed martial arts down at I think they called it Lionheart. It was a gym called Lionheart. And
Yeah.
just seeing hitting some mitts, I would run up on Phil Davis every now and then. He was graduated and moved on, but he still was around the campus, so it was good to see him and good to see that transition. But now it's full fledged, a whole thing now.
Oh man, so you knew coming out the gate you were doing MMA. It didn't take you long to figure that out.
Oh, absolutely. My move to Arizona State after Penn State was an MMA move. It wasn't a wrestling move.
All
If
right.
I yeah, I could they wouldn't allow me to have my transcript to top 15 or 16 schools, right? Or 15 schools. And Arizona State was happened to be the 16th school. I would have if it was a wrestling move and I could have done something that I wanted, I would have went to Cornell and been Dake's partner. I would have graduated from Cornell, had a national championship for Cornell, and I put up like 50 something points I put up 33 points at the national tournament
Mhm.
for pins and different wins. And Cornell lost that championship that year. They took second to Penn State by 20 something points. So had I been
Could
at
have been the
Cornell, I would have
difference.
graduated from Cornell, won a national championship, stuck Taylor, and then told Kale that he's got to go take that second place trophy.
Hey,
But it didn't work out that way. He was smart by not allowing my transcripts to go, and that's why he did. We took a 16th ranked team to four or fifth that
yeah.
year. Check my stats. It's been a while. Brother man been hit a couple times, but go ahead and check them stats back in 2011 when ASU, PSU, Cornell, and all them was in the mix. Penn State won the championship by a little margin. Where had I been allowed to go to
Bro.
Cornell, I would have walked away with the whole bag, not just
That,
the bag of the national championship, but the whole team, the whole
yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
In
That's so
Philly.
wild, man. And that's the thing, bro. You're an East Coaster. And so it's like you could have gone up there to Cornell, but what people don't realize is when you faced off against David Taylor, you stuck him in that cradle. That was like Caleb Sanderson's move, man. That was his
Yeah.
cradle too. That was his like favorite one, bro.
Yo, so what makes that story awesome as it can possibly be? It's already awesome as many things you can think about it, but LeBron James has that that dunk that when he comes all the way back and he bangs it on everybody, right? Just think if someone was like guarding LeBron James, stole the ball from him, he's going down court, LeBron goes to block it, and he hits LeBron with his own dunk move, that everybody's and just posterize him in LA or in Cleveland. You know what I mean? That's basically what I did at the national championship. I pinned David Taylor, which is the prodigy of Cael Sanderson, with Cael Sanderson's moves that I learned while I was at Penn State. So I was there for a couple of weeks, couple of months. They were like, "Oh, we're gonna release you from the program." I was like, "Shit, I already got everything I needed in my bag. I don't see what I needed to see,
Yeah.
call what I needed to stall, and see y'all. I need to go get a tan anyway. Let me get out to Arizona and
Yeah,
see what's
bro.
up with these Scottsdale. See what's up with the Scottsdale scene. Let's see what Phoenix is talking about.
Yes,
It's
sir, man.
definitely different than State College."
Oh, I bet. And David Taylor, for those who don't know, not the wrestling hardcores, went on to obviously become a stud in college, win the title multiple times, but he also went on to the world scene where he became an Olympic fucking champion. So that's the
He
guy.
has won every big tournament in the sport. He's won.
Worlds, yeah, everything. And
Yep.
that's a guy who, like you said, was all eyes were on him as the guy, and you did the unthinkable to him. You
I
didn't
think he
beat
was
him.
I
Oh,
think he was 71-0,
oh,
something like that.
disgusting. That's disgusting.
And I think his only loss before that was to me when we were on the same team. When
Oh
I
my
was on the
God.
I was an open wrestler. I didn't wrestle because I was working on some things, right? So I
Yep.
was on the open tournament. I wanted to get healed up and redshirt that year. So I wrestled as an open tournament, and me and him both wrestled in the finals at 57. I was up a weight class because normally I wrestle at 49. But because I was redshirt, and I told Kel, I'm not cutting weight to go to 49. So I was wrestling all my time at 57. We happened to make the finals, and then I beat him 4-3. And then he went on to rattle. After I beat him 4-3, he went on to rattle, something like 81, 91 straight matches not being beat, and then and then the actual 71 matches were like college matches. So it was a move that I did. It was a big moment for me.
Absolutely wild. For me, I was wrestling in high school. So when you were a senior in college, I was a senior in high school, and I was wrestling um nobodies, fishes, and I'm working at Pizza Hut. And I remember watching one of my boys went on to wrestle at NC State, And
Okay.
I was sitting there with him. I think it was his birthday when we were watching you guys wrestle in the March Madness. And I made him a pizza. And we were just like, I was on the clock and I was just watching. And you were one of the main storylines that year that I had to see, bro. I just had to see. And I connected with you on Twitter that year. We were both seniors in high school and college. I connected with Twitter. You were so fucking cool. We chopped it up. He followed me back. I deleted my Twitter, and then I just didn't really fuck with, like, I was training MMA and I got back into like really training MMA and then covering MMA, and that's when I met you again at the PFL and we started linking back up, man. And
Yeah,
but
that's an awesome story, bro. The fact that I mean, not the fact because I'm a humble guy as it is, but I'm a senior in college. Probably I'm the man. I'm definitely the man at this
oh
time,
yeah,
and
oh
I
yeah,
signed every recruit that I've ever had. I didn't, so I'm like, bro, Mark Perry, Matt Perry, and what's his name? What's the Oklahoma State coach's name? Penn
John
State.
Smith, John Smith,
John Smith. He
yeah.
was that kid's uncle or something like that. The only kid I lost in my recruiting visit was John Smith's nephew, and his brother was already on our team. So I'm like, bro, if you can't get your brother to sign here, I'm definitely not going to be able to do it. And if his uncle is John Smith, what are we even talking about? He's probably likely going to go there, or his mom's brother was John Smith or something like that. So
Yeah.
I lost that recruit, but because I was running shit at Penn State, I'm talking about running shit. I met Wiz Khalifa when he was doing black and yellow, black and yellow. I was
Yeah.
running shit at Penn State.
While we're on the topic of Penn State, there's a big name from Penn State, Bo Nickel. And my initial thoughts was, I'll be honest, I didn't think he was an MMA wrestler. I didn't think he was one of those guys that would go over to MMA. I heard the talks that he wanted to. I know his mom had a combat sports background, the striking of some sort. And but truthfully, I just thought like his style and attitude wouldn't mesh well. And sure enough, here he is making quite a splash, finishing dudes like it's light work, and he's got a
Because
lot
it
of.
is light work. Let me go ahead and I ain't gonna be the storm during this parade, but I'm gonna land some drizzle on these motherfuckers.
Yes,
First of
sir.
all, Bo Nickel is not that type of athlete. Like athlete, when we talk about athlete, we're talking about can play multiple sports, right? Can dribble a basketball, can kick a soccer ball, can be athletic. There are some amazing wrestlers, some of the best of best that are not good athletes, that are absolutely terrible athletes. And I'm not saying that you need to be a good athlete to be a good mixed martial artist, because there are a ton of mixed martial artists that'll beat your ass that don't have an athletic bone in them. But when we mix the worlds together and I try to look at it from an athletic perspective, like, okay, can you adapt quickly? Can you learn quickly? Can you do the moves required to become successful at what you're trying to become successful at with understanding of who you were? So he's a wrestler trying to become a mixed martial artist. It was an easier transition for me, not because I'm an athlete, but well, for sure because I'm an athlete, but because I wasn't this wrestler that just thought I was a wrestler. I was an athlete who happened to wrestle. If I was 2 inches taller, I would be playing basketball. If I had one step faster on my 40 time, which was a 4.4, being 5'8" at 4'4", not 180 pounds, I was 140 pounds soaking wet. I'm just not fast enough, not big enough, not strong enough to choose other leagues, although I was recruited in basketball, recruited in football, the number one recruit in wrestling. So when it comes to athletics, maneuvering and mechanics, I know it like the back of my hand. I am one of the best athletes that I've ever known, right? Now, I've met a lot of good athletes. I look at myself in the mirror and say, you're as good as they are, right? But with that being said, his type of wrestling pedigree was grappling based and not a ton of athletic movements. He's going to be great at taking people down and getting them down and doing his thing on the ground. If he doesn't run into a good jiu-jitsu guy, an amazing defensive wrestler with good striking soon. The thing about that I don't like with it, I love the fact that Bo Nickel's coming out. He's the man right now. And I love seeing Penn State and wrestlers do their thing in mixed martial arts. I'm not a hater at all. Anybody who knows me knows that I don't throw shade on anybody unless they say they can beat me in a fight. That's where we're going to draw the line. But with Bo Nickel, I feel like they have rushed him way too quickly to the main to the main eyes of people, to the main scene, right? He's not yet the actor that he needs to be, but they've given him a main role in this Broadway show. And I believe that if they don't allow him to, pick and choose for the next 5 or 6 fights, really, it ain't just like, in the next 5 or 6 fights, if he doesn't get to handpick all those guys in the UFC at that weight class, we're going to see one of the most precipitous falls from a hype train that we've ever seen. I mean, simply because of he's not ready yet. Just because he's competed on the highest levels because he can compete as a national champion does not mean he can actually fist fight or mix the martial arts. I have a hard time, especially I see him come out, throw that kick, land flat on his head. It's like, let's slow down. Those things, me being in the sport, I know those are some of the fear factor things. Those are some of the jittery things. Those are some of the things that happen in the beginning when you're a little bit green. You come out and you try to land that big move, that big something or the other to try to give, to give the crowd what they want. But also, he's got to build and he's got to do it right. So I'm praying that Bo Nickel gets to get that building process that a lot of other people got. I don't think that the scene that they put him on is the best scene. My man was pay-per-view of the John Jones card, and that's too soon. That's way too soon. But they did give him the perfect opponent. So I can tell you, with us having the Bad Breeze show, shout out to the Bad Breeze show! Shout out to the Bad Breeze show. But during this time, we will see within the next 5 or 6 fights if he's going to be able to handpick them. And if he's not going to be able to handpick them, a real fighter do something bad to Bo Nickel. Simply because if he can't get the takedown, he's not the striker he needs to be. There's no way you can tell me right now that he's okay with standing on his feet with anyone. He will not show more than 2 or 3 minutes on his feet with anyone. He's just not ready.
Speaking of matchmaking, I'm just going to take this moment to roll into one of the biggest cards that we have coming up soon, and that's UFC 286. Obviously, the biggest one on that is the trilogy: Kamaru Usman versus Rocky, Leon Edwards. But I want to start from the beginning of the card: Marvin Vettori versus Roman.
We're gonna try these last names.
Yeah.
These last names.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I remember him TKO and Jack Hermanson, but other than that, he hasn't really had too many big names to test him. And Marvin Vettori's been in there with everybody. So, when you look at him, he's a hard guy to put away. I think Marvin Vettori's just a better fighter, and I think Roman, he's got a lot of finishes recently, and that's how he gets his win. I don't think he's going to finish Marvin. I think Marvin's going to be able to press him, snuff him, hold him against the cage, get some licks.
That's a good bet. That's a good bet. That's a good take. The reason why I'm with you on that take is because just today they took my coach away. Just today, I gotta go to practice tomorrow with, my assistant, Big D, which is, I don't mind Big Diesel. Big Diesel. Shout out to Big Diesel out there with my conditioning. He always getting me right. But, for sure, I'm excited about this card, but it took my coach away. Dewey left tonight for the fight. He actually is cornering Marvin. So, I'm doing Team Black Cobra, BK MMA all day, all way. Yes, sir. Whoever he's got put it out there, we know they're prepared. We know that they're tough. We know that he has put them through something that he feels that he can corner them for. So I'm excited about what Marvin can bring out, the new things that Marvin's been working on. They've been in camp for a while. So I'm excited to see the new improved coached Marvin.
Jennifer Maia versus Casey O'Neill. I
was like, isn't that Damian Maia's wife or something?
I was like, no, that's gotta be his daughter. Yeah. Turns out Damian Maia and Jennifer Maia are not related. They're just wicked at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and they both have the same last name. So, but with that being said, again, she's wicked at Jiu-Jitsu, so I think it's a striker versus a grappler. If Jennifer Maia can get it
versus grappler, unless her takedowns are terrible. Okay,
which Jiu-Jitsu does have.
All-day grappler.
All-day grappler. But to your point, Jiu-Jitsu is not wrestling. And you do not get, I'll go with black belts teaching Jiu-Jitsu classes, and they do not know what a penetration step really is. So it's and that's just the truth. And so
That's a fact. They
so
struggle at takedowns.
yeah, and it's like I'm watching them break down the steps, and I'm like, no. So, all due respect, I think Jennifer Maya has had the black belt in jiu-jitsu is not going to get you the takedowns. So if you have takedowns and you can get Casey O'Neill down, who I will say I think is going to have an athletic advantage, then you can win. But if Casey can keep it moving and she's got a lot to show with the knee injury, then she could probably get it done. But she just can't get taken down because Jennifer Maya is a
Yeah,
problem.
and I see it with her coming off a knee injury and stuff like that, and needing to have motion. We all know that, we you would consider a grappler a shark, and in order to stay, away from the shark, you got to stay out of the water, and that means she's got to do a lot of bike riding, a lot of horse
Mm-hmm.
riding, a lot of running. Meaning she got to get on her good feet, put the good shoes on, and get moving, stick and move. And I think with homegirl being a shark and that other girl Casey coming off of a knee injury, I don't think it bodes well unless she's completely healthy and has been working on her wrestling defense and can stick and move.
Got a crazy banger coming up there in the co-main event with Brian Barberina and Gunny Nelson. Both vets in the game. But
Man, bro, when you talk about Gunny Nelson being a vet, bro, I thought Gunny Nelson was already retired with a son possibly fighting somewhere, bro. He's been fighting for what I feel like on the main stage for a long time. You said Gunny Nelson, I'm like, Gunnar Nelson, why have I heard that like 15 years ago in mixed martial arts? Like, bro, has been fighting for a minute. To see him back on the stage, bro, that's amazing. And shout out to longevity in his career and his people's.
yeah, bro. I mean, it's another one of those grappler versus strikers. Listen, I train in Charlotte, North Carolina, but also in Gastonia, Jim O, where Brian Barberina every Friday is getting rounds in with Joe Salicki and John Salter and shout out Tom Lane, upcoming prospect Chris Weidman. A lot of great grapplers and heavy grapplers working in with him. So I know he got choked out by RDA. He got finished. That was a horrible matchup. RDA is a very athletic dude too. And very
Shout out
seasoned.
to RDA. I was
Shout
RDA's
out.
wrestling coach for 3 years. RDA took me to Singapore, introduced me to Chatri and ONE FC, and man, I got nothing but love for RDA and all the stuff that he honestly brought me to and showed me. Him being a champion of the sport, and was possibly on the cusp of one of the biggest fights with Conor McGregor, and then he broke his foot. That's around the time where I started becoming his wrestling coach. And man, he showed me so many different places and scenes, and like who's who of MMA, and he's a legend, easily a Hall of Fame
Oh,
legend. So
awesome.
excited for his future. But yeah, like you said, RDA is one of those dudes. He can box you, he can wrestle you, and like you said with this guy, he choked him out. So
Yep.
we're just gonna give him a pass for that because I'm
yeah,
biased.
yeah, exactly, bro. We got to give a pass on that one. Barberina's not a spring chicken though. They're like the same age.
Yeah.
I just think Brian's got a better chance of finding his chin, and Gunny's got a chance of finishing him in submission. So
I agree. I agree. Not much more than that. I agree with you on that one, man. Just
yeah.
shout out to both of them legends for being in the game for as long as they
The
have.
co-main, absolute fight of the night candidate, fight of the year candidate, a stupid banger. You got Justin Gaethje versus Rafael Fiziev, and both guys have insane hands. But I'm just gonna jump into it. Gaethje has been one of those guys where the only fight that's gone the distance has been Chandler. He's definitely got some baggage on him, some miles. He's been dragged into the deep waters on too many occasions than I'd like. You're getting in all these wars. I think for him, he's such a good wrestler. I'd like to see him, even if he doesn't want to rely on it, he still wants to use his
Mix it up. Yeah.
mix it up, man.
As a fan, you want to see him mix it up so he can be here later.
Yeah,
You're
hundred
like, yo,
percent.
whoa. We only got like 2 more years at this pace. Like,
Yeah, hundred
you need to
percent.
slow this shit down.
He
But
did.
that's just kind of, some of us are just like that, as much as I want to be about the win, right? If I laid and prayed on everybody, if I just took people down and just stayed and it wasn't exciting and whatnot, and I received the win, but it was boring. Even I go back and watch, and it was not it. And it was just lackadaisical, whatever.
Yeah.
Bro, I'm the type that like I will maybe even risk a win to be more exciting. than to just, play it safe and lay it break. Because I could just take people down and take them and put
Yeah.
them down all the time. But I
Well,
want to still
just
do my exciting stand up. I want to be a rock'em sock'em
yeah,
squad every now and some of these things. But right. So
yeah,
when it comes to that, I want him to be more. I want Gaethje because he's a dominance guy, wrestler. Shout out to Team Dominance, Ali MLZs. But when it comes to Gaethje, we want him to be more of a mixed martial artist. But that he's in there. When you're in there, some of the feelings that you get aren't manufactured, and you can only get them at that time. It's like a high inside the cage while you're fighting. That's like, hey, why don't you do something? There's like a small voice in your head. Why don't you do something exciting? You know
yeah,
what? Spinning back kick right now. Fuck yeah, let's
yeah,
go. And
yeah,
that voice is like, yeah, that's a great idea. And then you
yeah.
land on your ass or you land it, whatever. But there are some guys that just within the heat of the moment, they can't stick to the strategic. I'm trying to get a win. They want to be exciting. The fight comes out of them. It just brews out of them. So this is one of those fights where I think, going in, both of them might have a strategy. Coming out, it might just be knock the other guy out and let's get our hand raised. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So
no,
this is a tough
100%.
fight for Gaethje because he gets hit.
Yeah, it's 100%. You're right. And you look at Rafael, who's got over 200 amateur kickboxing bouts before he even went pro. He's got stupid experience in that world. So if Gage's gonna have success with the hands, I'd like to see him at least make the threat of the takedown to keep Faizev at least not in a comfortable kickboxing match. Just don't let it become a kickboxing match. Make it an MMA fight, and I think you got a lot better chances. But like you said, man, excitement. Even if I would argue that, especially in MMA, compared to boxing or anything else, like you could win a fight and your stock could go down as opposed to you losing a fight. But if you took the risks that you're talking about, your stock could go up. So the
I honestly believe my stock went up after my loss to Lockney.
hundred
Now,
percent,
granted, had I won, bank account would have went up, stock would have went up. How many females hang around your boy would have went up? You know what I mean?
yep,
I feel like the warrior mentality that I put out, the performance that I put out, although it being in a loss, trying to get after it, trying, just trying. Some people get
yeah,
engaged and they don't try. I feel like Derek Lewis is the worst when it comes to just trying, bro. You're just fucking try. God damn, try. Not even that. Try harder. Shit.
yeah.
And to see that on different fighters, to see them like, okay, I'm not doing great here. I'm gonna try something else, or I want to try. I'm just seeing people try to figure out the physical chess game that is fighting is something that we should definitely value more, and definitely something that we should gain, or we should be behind when a fighter does that. It is a risky game as it is, but no risk it, no biscuit. If we play it safe, we can all walk away being cool. We
Oh,
got to definitely go
absolutely.
for it.
Absolutely. I love that. And that's what I love about your style is like just the the flash, the bring it mentality.
Yeah. Oh
Figure
my
it out.
gosh. If he does suplexes, he's gonna get tired. Well,
Nah.
yeah, but if I do the suplex, everyone's gonna fucking like it. If I
Yeah.
suplex this guy, it might not even hurt him. As a matter of fact, my suplex is so smooth, it's a nice little ride. It
Yeah.
doesn't even have an abrupt crashing ending unless I don't really like you, or unless we on the street, because I
Yeah.
know that you can't just land somebody on the head. But in the street, I have definitely suplexed people to death. So when it comes to the fight game, for sure, that's something that you think of. But the smoothness of my suplex, bro, I just want the crowd. I just want people to love me. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Hey, I want you to see you're an artist, bro. And that's your key,
Yeah, it's
bro.
part of the craft, right?
Yeah,
So you
100%.
got
Like
to
you said.
appreciate those mixed martial artists that paint a picture that is a little bit more risque than the others. There are many artists when we think about artists, right? We think about actors being artists. We think about rappers and musicians being artists. We think about painters and people who graffiti and things like that. Those are all artists. There are so many different varieties of singers and rappers that you have your favorite artist for whatever their style is, their rhythmic cadence, the how hard they hit, what they speak about, the confidence, the swag. Bro, I'm just trying to build my audience. You know what I'm saying? Not everybody gonna like me to be a man of God and fearing, but also say, fuck you, I'll punch you in your face. Not everybody's gonna like a real warrior who believes in Jesus, but also will beat the shit out you and go see a shorty afterwards. Like not really tripping about the whole do and don'ts. You know what I'm saying? I'm a real dude, so basically I'm a realist. If anything is fake out there that you I'm just not going to be. Not many people are going to pertain to that. I'm as real as it comes when it comes to the fight game, when it comes to my style, when it comes to what I speak and I say, when I believe in interviews. I believe that shit. I'm not making that shit. Ain't nothing fake about me. I believe that I'm trying to get these knockouts. I believe I'm gonna beat them in the first round. Things like that. So, when it goes back to that self belief, when it goes back to gaining your audience with being whoever you are as an artist, bro, I'm just trying to paint the perfect picture, baby.
That's right, bro. And like anything that you can shuffle in and make a style with is art. And you can definitely like mixed martial arts. It's an art and you're mixing and you're creating your own style and your own fucking Johnny Hancock out here, man. So
Yeah, man, that was one of the things that helped me in the beginning of my career. I got into the game with this big hype train. My name was big and everything like that. And then when people started seeing me spar or train or stuff like that, you could hear the whispers of maybe he's showboating a little bit, or maybe he's doing this, and it clogged me down from being the fighter that I could possibly be. I was forced to be this quiet, humble wrestler when I wanted to be more. And because I was afraid to be myself, because I was no longer in the sport that I controlled, no, I was no longer in wrestling. So in wrestling, I'll be myself. I don't care. I'll win, lose, draw. I'm the man, right? Coming into the sport, you don't want to have that braggadocious attitude that you came in. I won a national championship. You don't want to have that kind of attitude transitioning it to a sport that can really humble you. Mm-hmm. You don't really get hurt that much in wrestling. You get outpointed. You might get embarrassed. You might get pinned, but like injuries wise, maybe the hand fighting's a little bit. It's not even. It's not that taxing when it comes to hurting people. You know what I'm saying? I got an interview today. They asked me like, "Yo, with the Chris Wade fight, are you going to wrestle him or are you going to strike him?" I'm trying to fucking hurt him, right? I can't hurt him wrestling him. I can control him. I can, stop his movements. I can try to choke him. I can go to jiu-jitsu and try to hurt him. But in wrestling, it's more controlling than it is hurting. I'm not going to be trying to control Wade. I'm going to be trying to fucking hurt him. So obviously I'm trying to strike him. So wrestling can only get you to a certain place of dominating. After a while, you have to mix the martial arts and become a better striker, a better hurt person. So, yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Hurt. 100%. You gotta hurt folks.
And that's basically it's a great point why Gaethje is kind of the guy he is and why he's gotten to where he's gotten, because he hurts folks. And so it's gonna be he's got to mix it up, like you said. Though he's got to do a little bit of mixing of the martial arts and just make it not a kickboxing fight. Massive trilogy. It's going to be in the UK, actually. So every time we touch down UK soil, it's fucking electric. Everybody's up out of their seats. And
they have some amazing fans, bro. The UK and the fight game over there, they're hooligans. They love to fight. They love that shit. So the fact that, we get to go out there and see what type of atmosphere, which is some of the best atmospheres. If fight fans out there, if you've never been to a fight in the UK, you're missing an experience, because they're an educated crowd. They're a rowdy crowd. They're, when you're grappling and wrestling here in America on the ground, it's not as loud as it is. Out there, they are educated, is smart. They know what's going on. You do a wrestling move or a jiu-jitsu move, the who's and ah move with the movement. Sometimes we don't get that kind of education here. It's stand them up, some dumb stuff sometimes. So it's good to see those type of crowds be around an event like this, and to have the trilogy. Shout out to Usman. That's my big brother. That's my guy, Ali Abdelaziz. And, that's the team. That's the home team. Can't go against that. Won't go against that. I got Usman winning 5 rounds out of the 5 rounds. One-way traffic. Like Usman said, there ain't nothing that has ever shown me that Leon could be better than him except that last-minute Hail Mary. And, everybody can have a prayer like that once in a while.
Yeah, hey, even a broken clock's right twice a day, right? Yeah, no disrespect to Leon Edwards, but Usman, when you look at the last 2 fights, with the first fight, he absolutely smoked him, mollywopped him the whole time. And then if you look at the second one, it was, like you said, one-way traffic until...
If it's been 40 minutes of fighting, Usman has won 38 of them.
Exactly. And that's ugly. That's why it's kind of hard to see Leon. Leon's going to have another Rocky magic moment where he has some really, really, really buttered up combo. He's been practicing. He thinks he sees something.
The
But
thing is, that atmosphere might bring that out of you, though. I'm excited for the fight because
oh yeah.
that type of atmosphere, the London crowd, bringing it home, getting that home base, that home cooking, that home love. I mean, Usman's got to walk around the streets that people know, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, Usman, you're gonna start." Oh, you know, they're gonna be hecklers and all kinds of things throughout the week, throughout the marketing, throughout the leading up to it. So, and that's something that Usman's already been dealing with. But nonetheless, it still gives you an emotional attachment to the fight that Leon is probably going to be an advantage from, it being in
Yeah,
his
yeah.
hometown and having the belt. He
Well,
gets to
that's
show up to all these pictures with the belt on him. It's
yeah.
not like, oh, he gets to show up and has to stand there. He gets to confidently be walking around. Like, there was one thing that happened in college. Penn State became the #1 wrestling team when I was there at Penn State. We were beating it up on the rankings, trying to become #1. Kel wasn't there yet, and we finally at the national duels. It was down in Iowa. The weekend before that, I think we had beat Missouri, and Askren was on the coaching staff. I think Chandler was around at that time, but Penn State, we had beat Missouri, and going into that national dual tournament, we were the #1 ranked team as a team in the country. And man, that first day of practice, everyone watching the rankings and looking at the rankings and knowing that we're the #1 ranked wrestling team in all of the world, right? As far as college goes, as far as the grades and age goes. Man, our warm up was more intense. Our practice was more like, we were finally in the mindset of champions and not contenders or challengers. It was like the knowing that we were ranked #1 in the country kind of upped the way we walked around and the way we talked. And we walked into that next tournament. Bro, I wrestled Lance Palmer at that tournament. I wrestled Lance Palmer, Jordan Burroughs at that same tournament. Nonetheless, I won both those matches. Nonetheless, I digress. Oh, I actually lost to Palmer in that match. I lost to Lance Palmer in that day. Nonetheless, I digress. Reason why we felt like we were the men, the motherfucking champions. We walked around. You could hear the crowd. Oh shit! It's Pochi. It's Pochi. Oh, #1 ranked team. You could just hear the whispers as we're walking as a unit with our blue and our white on, just kind of chest up, head out. The #1 wrestling team in the country. That played into the way we wrestled, the way we thought, the way we moved. Now we eventually got upset that weekend. But Leon going into this fight as the champion, not the contender, the guy, he's walking like a champion, talking like a champion, warming up, stretching, and eating meals like a champion because he's a champion. And that mindset has gotten him. If there's 40 minutes of fighting and he's had to analyze it, the gap automatically closes, not because of who they are, but because the mentality and the validation of becoming a champion that he was given.
Just to play a little devil's advocate, and you can validate this or invalidate it because, like I said, you've been there. But I see Usman as a champion who's had blood matches, he's had grudge matches, he's had pressure, he's had pay-per-views, he's had numbers. He's gone into Miami, I believe. He's had bad blood, and he's gotten it done with adversity. Where Leon, I don't think he's ever had this type of pressure on him before because he was the underdog against the Usman fight. It was nothing to lose. Now you're the guy. You have a crazy narrative behind you, and you're fighting on your home soil, which is kind of foreign to you, even though it's home territory. You're used to fighting out here, and now
there's some people around him that have been telling him lies. You know what I mean? There's some true fans that think they mean well. That, bro, you knocked him out. There's no way he's got no chance. And after hearing that, being in London, how many people have praised him over and over, saying lies that he's now started to believe? There are true fans of his that be like, "Now you got his number from now on. There's no way he's gonna," and that's just simply not true. But there are true fans in his corner that are definitely trying to let him know, bro, it's all yours, and he might have a sense of believing it. I see your question, and I think it goes two ways. He can either fold like a lawn chair, like a cheap tent, under the understanding that this is the biggest stage as the guy. You're not the man of the hour when it comes to being the other guy's challenger. That he is the man of the hour. He even walks out with the big song and the thing. That's his moment. Now that is you, with all your fans, all your friends, and all your family, and some ex-girlfriends in the crowd. You're going to have a lot more pressure and a lot more things on you than what was expected of you last time. But that kid be two things. He's now a champion. That can either motivate him or scare him. And I don't think many champions are scared, but it's hard to just balance it. You know, there's so many people going to be pulling him left and right, and the money he's making and the opportunities that he's getting with the fight coming to his hometown. You know, it's going to be hard to say no to, you know, a $5,000 interview, a $10,000 video, or, you know, this or that. So, you know,
like you said, bro,
stretch you or pull you.
There's a fine line between confidence and ignorance, per se, or naiveness. You know, like you can be confident, but you also have to respect what you're up against. And and I think with Leon, like to your point, with some of the stuff that people have been telling him, oh, Usman's not going to come back the same, or blah 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 blah. I think he needs, and he's been saying that. That's this part that would give me, as a Leon fan, a lack of confidence, because it's one thing for other people to say that, but for you to talk that like it's your truth, like that's what you're banking on, beating the pound, one of the guys who was just pound for pound, and you're banking on him coming back a little wonky from a knockout to get this win. You're going to have some skills to plan another crazy fucking technical coach combo for you. But
not only that, let's speak to the fact that, like, the damage, you know, you can punch me and head kick me right now. And I'm not sure there's been many fights where I've actually been hit and then you see me, like, you know, go wild with your leg and then be like, oh shit, oh, someone here, you know, that loud, hey, motherfucker, he's hurt, you know, that moment, right? I haven't seen myself have those moments. Maybe once or twice in the gym with bigger guys, having no business training with some of these guys, right? But I haven't seen Usman take that many rock'em sock'em shots. You know, I would venture to say, or take a good bet, that if you rock Usman, rock him, he's going to stand. It's not, you know, he's not punch drunk, where you've seen guys miss punches and the wind wobbles them. You know, like, whoa, bro, I don't think he landed that, and you're still hurt. You know, there are guys that just have that touch. Leon One isn't one of those touching guys. He don't just touch you and you go to sleep. He's a skilled practitioner of how to be accurate. You know, he's very accurate with these things. But not only that, I don't think Usman is going to have a terrible effect from that knockout. Yes, it was devastating at that moment. Yes, that probably put him in a concussion that day. But it's not like a long career of him having had those battles and fights. Yeah. He is a wrestler. The natural ideal of a wrestler in training is safer than any striker. We naturally have a longer career because we don't take damage to the head. So most of the wrestlers in the game, if you look at them, have had long, amazing, great careers. So this just goes to another understanding as to why wrestlers are some of the best. But in this case, Usman is one of the best to represent the wrestling community and the Black community, the African community. He's just the creme de la creme of, you know, top combat athletes. So you cannot just think that he's going to be wobbled, or you don't think that he's had the right doctors and the right people in his corner to make sure all his faculties are right. If I'm Ali Abdelaziz and I see my golden egg, one of my golden eggs, because he's got a couple of them, I'm one of his golden eggs. But if I see one of my many golden eggs, you know, get cracked, I'm gonna do everything I can, knowing that he's got a long career. I'm gonna do everything I can as a personal cares for him, as an agent, as a friend, as a family, to make sure, okay, we need to see neurologists, we need to see all these people to, you know, make sure everything is back to normal. Yeah. All right, let's go do what we already been doing and done.
Yeah. And to your point, like, Leon's not one of those ones with lunch boxes for hands. He's not going to just touch you and put you down. And
it's going to be a leg. It's going to have to be a leg again.
It's going to have to be a leg. And you know who did have lunch boxes for hands? Gilbert Burns. He did touch Usman. And to your point, Usman didn't just dive at him. Usman cracked him back. So yeah, I think it's going to be a good night for Usman. And I'll just leave it at that, man. I mean, guys, thank you everybody for jumping in with me and Bubba. This is the Bad Breeze Show with one of the best. Let's go. So tune in. We're going to be dropping content weekly for you guys.
Shout out to all the sponsors who haven't sponsored the show yet. Shout out to all the endorsers that are coming.
Thank y'all for tuning in, and we'll see y'all next week.